Morning, folks. It's Tuesday, December 28th, 10:02 a.m. Temperature is 69 degrees. Can you believe it? We're in Duncan, Mississippi. I had the idea, since I drive the Mississippi Delta, maybe I ought to talk about it. So I pulled out a book that I bought 20 years ago, and I'm sure I read, but of course I've forgotten what's in the book. And it's about the Mississippi Delta from the end of the Civil War, 1865 to 1910, and what it was like. And I'm barely past the introduction. But what I've learned so far, and that I'd forgotten, I guess, is that in 1865, only 10% of the Mississippi Delta had been settled and cultivated. 90% of it was still wild. It was all forest and streams. Can you imagine what it must have been like to clear the land back then without chainsaws? You had just a regular saw, and how did you remove the stumps? Did you have to dynamite them or use mules? Can you imagine what a chore that must have been? But people flocked to the Delta after the Civil War because the soil was so rich. For thousands and thousands of years, the Mississippi River would pick up soil when it flooded in the Midwest and deposit it all the way from Memphis down to Vicksburg. So we had the richest soil in the country that was ideal for growing cotton, which was a tremendous cash crop in those times. There was only one problem, though, and that was the plantation owners had trouble finding labor because they didn't have slaves anymore. The slaves had become emancipated, so they had no leverage. On the other hand, the blacks could rent the land from the white landowners, which they did. And they could raise cotton and also clear the adjoining land to make extra money in order to save up to purchase their own land to farm. So the way I understand it, by 1910, there were probably more black landowners in the Mississippi Delta than there were white landowners. I guess that's going to be our history lesson for today. We'll explore this angle in future videos. I was up in Duncan several weeks ago, both Duncan and Alligator working. There's the town hall. Did anybody grow up here in Duncan or Alligator that could tell me what it was like growing up, or why this town was here? Was it a plantation town? Was it a railroad town?